Do you remember when absolute mad lad and Shmientioi enthusiast Lord D. Nuxanor went and dumped a ton of hours of work into a video, the most impactful anime moments of the last decade? It was a video met with anticipation, hype, and enthusiasm that Lord D. Nuxanor would spend so much time selflessly for the fan base to create a work of art that the internet needed. I know, I cry as well. Bet you didn't think I'd do this! That's right, welcome to the crappiest anime moments of the last decade. This was even more work than the other one, and it's arguably even more fun. The last one, well, so many comments were talking about how they teared up with the nostalgia of looking into the past and seeing the decade that's gone by. Oh, how I weep. This video is gonna have none of that. You're either gonna cry because you're sad at how terrible some of these moments were, or you're gonna laugh at the toxicity present in these moments. So with all that in mind, I welcome you, Whammon and Gentle Whammon, to the ultimate experience that took an F-ton of hours to put together. Just from the scripting and compiling alone, the crappiest anime moments of the last decade. Being that I'm not talking about their impact so much, I'm only talking about their level of severe crappiness. I will not be dwelling on them to accentuate certain points. Nah, fam. Slightly faster style. I'm gonna sound like the biggest anime hater on the planet because I worked hard on this video. I found a lot of garbage. Let's get right into the memes. Right after you smash like and subscribe, of course, because ridiculously long videos like these, they don't grow on trees. And I don't mind being a stuck-up bitch asking for likes and subs this early on because, well, I might get lost in the heat of the garbage that I'm going to be spewing for the next hour or so. Hopefully not that long. God, hopefully not that long. If only for the passion I have for this medium and the lengths I went to perfect this list. Likes are very appreciated. It was January 20th of the year 2010. That's right, I'm talking about the last decade from 2010 to 2020. God damn. But on January 20th, Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds aired episode 93. This was the beginning of the legendary and extremely hyped for like 20 episodes before this, Duelist Grand Prix. So, I've gone on record saying in the past that the first arc, the Signer arc of Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, is one of my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh! Arcs of all time, and it's honestly a phenomenal freaking arc. Yes, there are Yu-Gi-Oh! Games that are played on motorcycles. Yes, the police are chasing a fugitive and, hacks the enemy bike to automatically accept a duel where if they lose the duel, the bike explodes. And they didn't decide to just hack the bike to have the bike explode because this definitely seems more reasonable. And with all that aside, Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's first arc was amazing. I loved it. And they were like hyping this Grand Prix as this amazing tournament for the longest time. And fam, the Grand Prix sucked. Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's post-Signer arc was garbage. And yes, I'm gonna get so much hate on this video. And I already know it, and I'm excited to swim through the fields of hate because I don't care. I don't pull my punches. And Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's episode 93 was the start of the Grand Prix, and it was a disaster. Sorry, but that's how the decade started for me. Next, April 5th. 2010 was the beginning of a very well-known anime right now, Kiss X Sis. This was the beginning of the incest train. I may be slightly off on that, but that's at least what it was for me. I didn't know that there was such a massive problem in anime where supplies, Oni-chan has two sisters and they both want a piece of bro. I mean, not that I've ever gone to Pornhub or anything, because we all know that I would never do something like that. That's all that's there now. It's almost become a meme that incest porn is everywhere. Now, I'm not gonna say it started from Kiss X Sis, but it kind of feels that way. This was the big, really cringy brother-sister show that started it all. And if it didn't start it all, it definitely got that part of the medium so much more hype. People everywhere were talking about this because of how cringe it was. It's like, I'll give you a stupid example. Whenever a company is completely garbage, but becomes a large-scale meme for being so bad, that company does well. Every controversy from a meme standpoint that a company goes through, even if it's to bash the company ends up developing more because of it. I feel like that's what happened to the little sister genre in anime because of Kiss X Sis. This was such a widespread meme. The story is literally 12 goddamn episodes about a brother with two sisters, and both sisters are fighting over the brother. Everyone was talking about it, and it only spread. And it's not my favorite little niche part of anime, I have to to say. It's like, oh, so relatable. No, it's not relatable. Anyway, July 5th of 2010 was the beginning of High School of the Dead. Now, I am one of the firm believers that High School of the Dead is actually a pretty good show, despite what a lot of people say about it. But with that said and done, obviously fan service was a thing before, but fan service got an entirely new shape when High School of the Dead hit. When it comes to High School of the Dead itself, which is obviously meant to be the absolute and extreme clash between this horror zombie survival thriller and this ridiculously fan servicey comedy, that's what made High School of the Dead what it is. But the fact that you had girls walking around with skirts shorter than my belt, and you got your Matrix boobs, and the camera's focused on girls' undergarments more than on their faces, while again, in the context of High School of the Dead, it's what made the show what it is. Maybe it's only my personal perspective, because I wasn't much of an anime fan per se for long before 2010. Even if I've watched, the generic shonens before, I never noticed the fan service freaking take off like it did after High School of the Dead, and it just started getting integrated with everything. Again, this may be my personal take, but this video is my personal takes. Live with it. In October 3rd of 2010, what a wonderful time. We had the beginning of Oreimo. Oreimo, for those of you who do not know, even though Kiss X Sis was the absolute king of the brother-sister anime, it was from an ecchi standpoint. Oreimo was not really that ecchi. There was not a ton of fan service. The girls were cute, they were great characters, and the story is about a brother who's surprisingly normal for a main character, and it turns out the little sister, who everyone praises and adores, is the secret closet weeb, and she has to kind of have her two lives, where she's A, some crazy model that everyone loves and appreciates, and B, ridiculously psycho weeb that plays Gientioi games all the time. She has to mesh these two lives together, and her favorite genre of games are these brother-sister Gientioi games, as suspicious as that sound. The brother has to bond with the sister and help her out, and honestly, I freaking loved Oreimo. It was one of my favorite slice-of-life comedies I've ever seen. I think it's hilarious, I think the characters are memorable and great, and the issue is, Kiss X Sis was obviously an overblown meme. So when people were memeing the brother-sister thing, it was almost as a joke, with slight airs of appreciation for the greatness of Kiss X Sis to make such a cringy joke. With Oreimo, which, despite the fact that it was obviously a comedy, A, it aired in the same year as Kiss X Sis, just a few months later. So people were really done with the brother-sister thing. And B, it was a show that was taking itself seriously plot-wise, despite the fact that it was a comedy. So people were hating on Oreimo a lot. And that's sad to me, because Oreimo's great. That's right, the crappiest anime moments of the last decade list doesn't only include moments within anime, but moments surrounding anime. That's right, I put a lot of work into this bad boy. I'm looking at that like button, waiting for it to turn blue, if you know what I mean. But Oreimo was freaking great, and I will be talking about season 2 when I get to the 2013 spot on this decade list. But my main issue with Oreimo was the community backlash that it got, and we're gonna be moving on now. Welcome to the year of 2011, where on January 7th began a wonderful, very well-known series. Well, I don't know how well-known it is, but IS Infinite Stratos. Now, at this point in time, I don't know how many people remember Infinite Stratos. It didn't exactly stay relevant where people kept talking about it, even though it was all the rage when it was actually airing. And the reason why it's actually here, it's not that it per se did anything bad than your typical generic garbage anime did now, but it started the goddamn trend of the typical generic garbage anime. Now, hear me out, hear me out. We did not really have, the typical high school setting where we also had a main character who was a complete absolute badass that managed to acquire a harem of women that they all look up to him for a different reason, and they all happen to have a different personality trait that pretty much fits into one of 7 categories, and that's the show. There's half high school life, half defending the universe life. Main character is ridiculously overpowered, stupidly broken. This was the big thing before the isekai boom. Every season had 5 of these, and honestly, again, maybe this is my perspective, but I think Infinite Strata started the entire thing going. It started the ball rolling when it came to this generic garbage anime that took over every season for years. Now there aren't as many, because once you have an overpowered main character who's defending the universe and gets a harem, might as well also make it an isekai. So you do not have a lot of these per se, but between the years of 2011 and 2015, this was all the rage. And part of the issue is, I can't even name them all to you. That's how numerous they were, and that's how many of them stuck together in my mind to become one generic show. You got your ecchi, you got your battles, you got your overpowered main character with a harem of women that need him for whatever reason, and this story was rehatched a million times. So, my take on Infinite Stratos, it in itself, typical garbage, nothing particularly new, but what it did, well, what it did was devastating. We had years of that, oh my god. April 17th, 2011, that was the beginning of Dead Man Wonderland. Now, a lot of people like Dead Man Wonderland, so you're probably surprised, Nux, why are you blasting Dead Man Wonderland? I'm blasting it because the adaptation was a disaster. A lot of people might be like, oh my god, but I like the adaptation. Fam, if you like the adaptation, you did not read the manga. The Dead Man Wonderland manga is phenomenal. The adaptation is hot garbage in comparison, and honestly, that's all I need to say. On July 24th of 2011, the 15th episode of Blue Exorcist aired, and it is a day that I will never forget. I was really hoping Blue Exorcist would become like the next long-running thing, because the manga went on for a really long time, the characters were really likable, you had your very typical shonen setting that you would be able to per se continue. You had your school, where people were training to slay demons, and then it turned out the main character is like the son of Satan, and he has to like control his powers. You got your Naruto Nine-Tailed Fox vibe, except he also had connections to, well, Satan, the main bad guy. It was a world that was developing, it was a cast that was evolving. I was very excited for a future of Blue Exorcist, because I was really enjoying it. And then episode 15, A1 Pictures was like, you know what, fam, I have a crazy idea. You know how there's like hundreds of chapters left to Blue Exorcist? How about instead, we make a completely anime-only arc from episode 15 to 24, and in these 9 episodes, we completely wrap up the story. And then, I don't know what happened, but for whatever reason, the corporate guys in the room were like, oh my god, you are a genius! And that's exactly what happened. Blue Exorcist episode 15, the plot just started moving ridiculously quickly, and I couldn't even figure out why. And as episodes were going on, and as more and more characters were becoming two-dimensional, I was like, oh my god, I don't think this is in the manga. And lo and behold, I checked, and sad as I was, 9 episodes later, while the main character is still a complete wuss compared to the top-level exorcists, he and his bro managed to, you know, tag team, fight Satan, and with the power of love win and save the day, and like the story was over. It was so sad. Episode 15 was traumatizing. Future Diary started in October 9th of 2011, and while I think that Future Diary was okay for what it was trying to be, which was an edgy, stay on the edge of your seat, battle royale, Fortnite-style Hunger Games, and I had no issues with it, but Future Diary was met with 2 very opposing fandoms at the time that was honestly annoying. Future Diary had a lot of really staunch defenders. A lot of people loved it and considered it like one of the greatest anime of all time, and Yuno was the greatest waifu of all time. And on the other hand, you had people that were saying Future Diary is absolute trash and Yuno is the worst waifu of all time. I personally, kind of middle of the road, I liked Future Diary for what it was. Not even in my top 50 anime ever. But there was like a whole civil war over this, and it turned into no one properly representing a very decent anime show with a lot of very decent characters, and it kind of fell to the wind because of how both sides of the fandoms completely misrepresented it. I felt bad. I felt like it would still be talked about today for at least being what it was, but it's not because the fandom got into a civil war and killed it, and that sucks! Hooray! On November 1st of 2011, 3 weeks later, Bleach episode 346 aired, and this was the beginning of the Fullbringer arc. You know, the absolute, hands down, worst canon arc in all of Bleach. So, I think at this point, we can all kind of forgive filler. When there's a filler arc happening, and it is really, really bad, we've come to a point where we can be like, you know what, this isn't the actual show. We could skip the filler, we could watch it as mindless entertainment, but when the filler arcs in Bleach are hands down better than the Fullbringer arc, you know you got some real piece of garbage on your hand. Bleach constantly tries to one-up itself, and it does that when they aren't really introducing enough new mechanics or character development in order to do that. I feel like a lot of people consider that an issue with Bleach, and even though I genuinely like Bleach, I watched all of it, I read all of it, and if by some miracle the 1,000-year Blood War arc actually got an anime, I would watch the living crap out of it. That said, even though a lot of people were saying the Fullbringer arc is good for Ichigo's development as far as the character goes, I don't care. I do not care. If the arc is hot garbage, Ichigo's character development does not win it back for me. Especially if the same gimmick was used in Bleach again and again and again. Not only was Ichigo at this point a Hollow and a Soul Reaper and a human and all of that, but now, surprise, now that he has no Soul Reaper powers because he sacrificed them, which I will get back to in a moment, he's also a Fullbringer and he can use a swastika as a weapon. Sorry, I just wanted to put that in there because not exactly sure what they were thinking on this one, but you know, artistic liberty, I guess. Ichigo's a really cool character, and he gave it all to fight Aizen. He used something that he knew would sacrifice his powers forever moving forward in order to make him really strong now to beat Aizen, who's this diametrically huge threat, and honestly, that's really cool, Ichigo. Huge sacrifice on your part. But then when the sacrifice amounts to nothing because he gets Fullbringer powers like 2 episodes later, and he gets his hollow powers back, back at the end of the arc, it completely undoes the massive sacrifice that he actually did when he fought Aizen. I hate when series do this. Bleach, in fact, did it once before with Uryu. Uryu was fighting Mayuri Kuratsuchi in the past, and he was like, oh my god, I am going to die, but I will sacrifice all of my powers in order to get this ridiculously huge power boost right now to defeat Mayuri Kuratsuchi. And he does, and it's amazing. And then it's like, oh, by the way, Uryu, we're also gonna give you your powers back right before the Wako Mundo arc, so you're not absolutely useless and you're still a borderline relevant character in the cast, even though you don't actually do anything in the future of the Wako Mundo arc, and you don't do anything at all until the middle of the 1,000-year Blood War arc. Bleach already used the gimmick of sacrificing your powers to get a power boost and getting the powers back. We did not need that again with Ichigo. Now, I'm not rewriting parts of Bleach, but this was really disappointing to me. Aside from the fact that these random Fullbringer bozos that we never heard of before just popped out of nowhere, and Ichigo happened to be a Fullbringer, this arc was garbage, and it was the nail in the coffin for the Bleach anime. But hey, maybe that's just me. Starting the year 2012 strong, in January, on the 12th day of that month, aired the 13th episode of Guilty Crown. So, Guilty Crown was being talked about a lot. I really liked it. A lot of people liked it. Some people were even going as far as to say that, oh my god, it's the next Code Geass. It was never the next Code Geass. But they don't say praise like that about, you know, Infinite Stratas, so obviously it was doing something right. That something right became something wrong in episode 13. The best character in the show became the worst character in the show at the halfway point, which doesn't speak volumes for the rest of the show. It was big sad, huge oof, and that is coming from an anime standpoint. The anime oofed. Now let's talk about some fandom oofage going on April 8th of 2012 when the first episode of Kuroko no Basket aired, because the community was not a huge fan. I love Kuroko no Basket. I think a lot of the characters developed in an incredible way. I feel like a lot of the scenes are great. A lot of the basketball matches are basically tournament arc, shonen action, fantasy, demon battle things. And some of the basketball powers are a little, you know, on the fritz. I said basketball powers. You heard me 100% correctly. Because one of the biggest things about Kuroko no Basket that I see people complaining about is like, why do these basketball players have powers? Oh, I have such an amazing shot. I can score from anywhere on the court. Well, you think you're cool, but I could copy any other basketball player's technique by just looking at them with my Sharingan. Well, you think that's cool. I can jump really high. I mastered sleight of hand and am basically invisible. I can make you trip by just looking at you with my Emperor Eye. And it didn't help that they gave their superpowers names. Obviously, these are not actual superpowers. These are just talents that these individual characters are really good at. But they are so good at them, it basically became superpowers. And not only that, but when you call out your attack names, Tornado Dunk! Yeah, you're kind of losing the absolute realism of what a basketball anime could be. I personally, as I've mentioned before, love Kuroko no Basket. But from the get-go, a lot of people were hating on it just because it's not realistic. You know what? No, it's not. But neither is Naruto, and it's also a goddamn good time. Anyway, moving on in 2012, on October 6th of that very year, we had the 15th episode of Sword Art Online. That's right, this is the problem. I'm not talking about the beginning of Sword Art Online because it was a generic show by today's standards, but at the time, it kind of felt like a breath of fresh air in certain ways. The romance was actually really nice in the first 15 episodes. It was not the tightest of plots, but it was a genuinely fun watch. Episode 15, certain areas sorta came crashing down. Now, I'm not even talking about the fairy dance arc. I personally enjoyed the Alfheim arc. Not nearly as much as the Aincrad arc, but it was enjoyable. I don't feel like it ruined the show like a lot of people said it did. Episode 15 is when we learned the motives of Kayaba Akihiko, the evil mastermind behind trapping thousands of people in Sword Art Online and killing thousands of people. This guy had this crazy elaborate plan for years, devising the ultimate scenario where he can like kill out thousands of random people. That is not cool. And in the end, when they actually confront the guy and are like, all right, Kayaba, in the end of the day, why did you actually do this? And then for Kayaba to say, well, it's been so long, I've forgotten. That is not Not badass, Kayaba. That is lame AF. And honestly, it's a line like that that kills so many shows. Oh, I think it would be cool to trap characters in a game and have them fight, and if they die in the game, they die in real life. But we don't know how to make that situation happen, so we're just gonna have it happen and ask questions later. That's the overall issue with, for example, something like Future Diary. Okay, we wanted everyone with this cool gimmick where they could see the future in certain ways. Well, we want them all to have this crazy death game. How are we gonna go about that? Well, the winner becomes the god of space and time. Yeah, that's right. It makes a lot of sense. I feel like that line single-handedly destroyed the credibility of what Sword Art Online was. Until that point, there was a lot good there, and unfortunately, it's being bogged down by this one idea that this whole thing that everyone just went through, this crazy life and death game, well, it was for no reason. The main villain, well, he had no motive. Part of the mystery is why this was happening, and for that mystery's ultimate payoff to be, it's been so long I've forgotten, that is terribly lame. I was actually considering making an entire video on Sword Art Online, even though, you know, no one's talking about the Aincrad arc anymore, and talking about why it's actually amazing and the deeper philosophical elements present there. And one of the reasons that I actually want to do it is because I know it'll annoy people, which, in my personal opinion, is always a good reason to go ahead and do it. So definitely subscribe and let me know in the comments if you're interested in something like that. 2012 had two more goofs. One was episode 8 of Shinsekai Yori, and again, this is not coming from the fact that Shinsekai Yori was a bad show. On the contrary, it's one of the greatest anime ever. It's adapted from a novel. No, not a light novel, not a manga, a novel, and it's amazing. I love Shinsekai Yori. The mystery, the philosophical elements, and the psychological development of the cast was phenomenal in this show. I love it. That said, no one watched Shinsekai Yori. Not because, well, it was a little under the radar, because the animation wasn't that great. And while it's true the animation was not that great, that's not why it was under the radar. I remember at the time of this coming out, episode 8 aired, and there was this one gay scene, and people were like, oh, Shinsekai Yori's a gay show, let's not watch it. While that may be slightly homophobic, and I do not condone this behavior, I think this was the memorable scene that caused people to actually not watch the show, as pathetic as that sounds. It's not the shonen action adventure that is typically picked up by the larger audience. So the only way something like this gets popular is if the community actually starts talking about it, and the community talked about a gay scene in episode 8, and people were like, oh, it's a gay show. It's not about this fascinating drama and character development in a dystopian society and the fascinating dichotomy of what makes a human. No, it's a gay show. Disappointed! Now, for the final mention of 2012, on December 6th, episode 10 of Batum aired, and Batum is one of my favorite battle royale anime. You know, a bunch of guys trapped on an island with many different types of bombs. Everyone has a certain type of bomb that they have to come up with brilliant tactics on how to blow the crap out of each other. Not in the sexual way, but also in this actual way. Yes, Batum was one of those shows, but episode 10 is where they left the manga, and the ending really sucked. It's like, in the middle of this massive tournament, everyone must kill each other and take these chips in order to get enough chips together so that you can summon a ship in order to bring you back home and you can survive, and there's like all these brilliant things going on, and it's like, episode 10, okay, this death game was found out by the government, we're shutting down, we're bringing in planes to save everyone, the end. Literally the most anticlimactic ending of all time. In 2013, on January 18th, episode 2 of Kotora-san aired, and I remember Kotora-san was one of the most interesting and dynamically gripping first episodes ever. It was about this girl who could read minds, and she's ostracized from society, and I felt like the first episode's writing was on point, getting me to really fall in love with this character and relate to this character to some degree. And then episode 2 aired, and it's like, oh, just happy slice of life. Yeah, I know. Pretty random mention, but I felt like it deserved it. On June 27th of 2013, episode 13 of Devil is a Part-Timer aired, and it still has no sequel! On July 5th of 2013, we got Danganronpa, a very popular video game, which also happens to be a death game. What? Why are so many death game anime getting mentioned in this video? It's almost like none of them are satisfying, except for Fate Zero. Watch Fate Zero. But Danganronpa, on the other hand, if you want to get the great Danganronpa experience, play the games, do not watch the anime. I don't want to be that guy or anything, but the adaptation was garbage, and the fact that when they finally made a sequel to Danganronpa, they made Danganronpa 3, not Danganronpa 2, and they made 2 seasons called Danganronpa 3 airing at the same time, following different timelines, where neither made sense without Danganronpa 2, which wasn't wasn't an anime only a game. This was the worst hodgepodge of an adaptation I've seen in a long time, and it's almost funny at how terrible they did. Next, we have August 18th, 2013, the finale of Oreimo. I told you I'd be mentioning Oreimo again, you know, the brother-sister show. Bit cringy at times, but until this point, most of the backlash that Oreimo was getting was not because it in itself was a bad show, it was because just the general idea of a brother-sister show is pretty cringy, and a lot of people weren't all for that. Now, the backlash that Oreimo's finale was, there was this amazing girl named Kuroneko who was best girl, and the main character liked Kuroneko, and Kuroneko liked the main character, and like 2 minutes before the end, he was like, you know what? I love my sister. Let's get married, sister. But not really, of course, because, well, we can't get married because we're siblings. Let's have a mock wedding and kiss because I love you and will forever cherish you. But meanwhile, I have to dump my awesome girlfriend, Kuroneko, who will never take me back because I am dumping her for my sister, and now I will have to live in my rest of my life wallowing in my lonesome while my sister moves to America and becomes a famous idol. Yes, this was the massive finale of Oreimo, and it was not satisfying at all. That said, I loved Oreimo. I thought it was a hilarious show. A lot of the characters were great. I would definitely recommend it. But come on! Sorry, personal disgust. October 4, 2013. We had the first episode of Kill la Kill, and it was actually pretty great. That's right. Kill la Kill was a pretty good show. I enjoyed it. I laughed. Got me to think. It's a lot of what I want anime to be. That said, it's here on my crappiest moments of the last decade. Not because I harbor negative feelings towards Kill la Kill. Maybe I think the community reaction to the show was a little overhyped to an extent. It wasn't, you know, the second coming of Gurren Lagann or anything, but I did enjoy it. I found it very pleasant. It's here because it was made by Studio Trigger, though. And being that this is a very different style anime, it's the most out there anime since something like Gurren Lagann. Everyone was saying how not only did it save anime, which it didn't, but people say that Studio Trigger is the messiah of anime studios. Everyone was so into the whole Studio Trigger hype. This is the ultimate anime studio. Everything they make is just so phenomenal. No matter what it is, let's praise the living crap out of it. And they did. So the reason why this is here today is because Trigger is something that triggered me over the last decade. Kill la Kill was pretty good. I will not deny that. I did find enjoyment from it, even though it's not in my 50 favorite anime of all time. Not even close. Everyone that keeps saying how Trigger keeps trying new stuff and they're obviously the greatest studio ever because of that, well, Studio Trigger sucks, okay? Let's talk about some of the other stuff Studio Trigger did. Studio Trigger made Darling in the Franxx, which was pretty good for the first 3 episodes and then became a dumpster fire. Studio Trigger made Kisniver, which is straight up one of the dumbest premises ever. It looked like it could be interesting just by how ridiculous the premise was, and it turned out no, Kisniver actually wasn't good. Story about an organization who has like a bunch of kids that they managed to link up somehow so that when one of them feels pain, they all feel pain. If one of them dies, they all die. Oh my god, it's bringing unity and everyone is coming together because, oh yes, it's amazing. No, it was garbage. Little Witch Academia was a phenomenal OVA. That's right, the single half-an-hour-long OVA of Little Witch Academia was great. The 25-episode anime, it was painful to sit through for the first half. Ino Battle wa Nichijou Kei no Nadeze? No one ever even heard of it, as far as I know. I've never heard anyone talk about it. I never watched it, so I can't say, so that's not really so fair. SSSS Gridman? I did not enjoy it, even though there is obviously a deeper layer there. That's the thing about Trigger. There's always a deeper layer everywhere, but the superficial layer kinda sucks. Darling in the Franxx had this whole deep metaphor about how sexual relationships on the surface level can destroy a relationship if it's not built on similar values. I don't care about that. The show was ass. So is Kisniver. Oh, unity. If we each feel each other's pain, then we can... I don't care. The show is ass. Studio Trigger is the master of ass, and that is something Kill la Kill taught us. I hear that the Promare movie was really good. I unfortunately did not get the chance to see it yet. But as far as anything else that Trigger put out, disappointing shiz, fam. Stop praising the ever-loving crap out of this mediocre studio. Well, I was about to say, hope you like One Piece before segmenting into something One Piece related, and then I realized I'm talking about the crappiest anime moments of the last decade. I kind of hope you don't like One Piece for this one, because we're talking about January 19th of 2014, where the One Piece Dressrosa arc began. I am one of those few. One of those few individuals who considers Dressrosa to be one of the 3 greatest major arcs in One Piece thus far. I love it. I think it's phenomenal. The manga is amazing. I've read it several times. But the anime adaptation is so bad. Fam, this is already like the longest arc. It's over 100 chapters. But did it really need to be like 200 episodes? Come on. Not only did the animation absolutely bite the dust in some of the really great moments, and not only was not a lot added when it comes to dimensions of the different characters, it was just dragged out with recaps and filler and just boring moments. A lot of people say that the One Piece anime really dipped in quality after the Marineford arc, and I agree with that, but I don't think it actually hit its lowest until Dressrosa. Since then, it's been on the high. The Wano arc is phenomenal in the anime, at least comparatively, and a lot of the hate One Piece gets for its poor quality and poor pacing, I think purely stems from the Dressrosa arc. It's a shame to me because one of my favorite arcs turned into a cesspool of garbage for no reason, and it was definitely one of the crappiest moments of the last decade. On April 6th of 2014, we started a very fun series named The Irregular at Magic High School. This show was very popular as it was airing, so that's good, but as the show, started developing more and more, it was developing more and more issues. It started off with this main character who seems to suck at magic. Oh, this is so sad. But when he uses magic tools, he's actually the strongest wizard ever. And he's the one who invented all of the leading magic tools. And he works for this crazy secret society company guy where he's like the ultimate wizard ninja guy that kind of takes out opponents for them, and he can take out vast armies with like a click of his finger. And his sister wants to bone him. Can we get more cliches for this show? Aside from the fact that it's not even getting a sequel yet, and it's been like 6 years. Very cool. June 25th of 2014, we had episode 12 of No Game, No Life. No, I'm not talking about the coin toss because the coin toss was awesome. I'm talking about the fact that there's no season 2 yet. Shame on you. July 7th, 2014, we had Akame ga Kill. Akame ga Kill really got the entire anime community up in arms. Who is best girl? Who is a trash character? Why is the plot going so terribly? What happened in the second half? I will answer all these questions. Best girl is Esdeath because she is a wonderful yandere. The plot issues stem from the fact that there's no real plot aside from, okay, so you got this cool squad of assassins trying to take down the government, and the government develops a cool squad of assassins to assassinate the assassins. Not exactly four-dimensional chess going on over here. And the reason why the second half of the show was a disaster was because it didn't follow the manga. They killed characters that didn't die in the manga. They introduced characters that didn't exist in the manga. And I'm not going to tell you how it ended in case you decide to watch it, because low-key, one thing I do have to say about Akame ga Kill, a lot of the characters were phenomenal. String Guy was awesome. Bulat was like the greatest gay Kamina-esque character ever. Borus, well, his name is pronounced as Balls, which is a sick way to pronounce someone's name, and he's like the Maze Hughes of edgy assassin anime. Akame ga Kill has a lot of good, and I feel like if they would have actually followed the manga, a lot more of that good would have been noticeable by the fandom. Honestly, even ending the show and never getting a second season is better than just saying, all right, we're never getting a second season anyway, let's kill the whole cast. Low-key, fans just don't appreciate that shiz. July 13th of 2014, we had episode 2 of Aldnoah Zero. Now, I say episode 2 because Aldnoah Zero episode 1 was amazing. I loved it. It was co-written by Genu Rabuchi, my favorite writer in anime. Very cool. And then they were like, okay, thank you for writing the first episode, Genu Rabuchi, and thank you for outlining the basic idea of what the series is supposed to do. We're gonna drop you now and totally crap on our own series, starting with episode 2. Aldnoah Zero's entire run was based off how good episode 1 was, and then it totally died because the rest of the series was garbage. Very disappointing. January 9th, 2015, Tokyo Ghoul Season 2. Really not much more needs to be said. Tokyo Ghoul Season 1 actually adapted the manga and ended on a really high note with Kaneki versus Jason being one of the most phenomenal climactic battles in all of anime. And then Tokyo Ghoul Season 2 was like, all right, remember that thing that I keep telling you that anime should not do, by like totally not following the manga, killing a ton of characters? Well, welcome to Tokyo Ghoul Route A, otherwise known as Season 2, which was a dumpster fire. Much like how the first opening was amazing and the second opening was nails on a chalkboard, so too, that was the experience with the entirety of the season. I feel so bad for Tokyo Ghoul fans. Such a popular manga got adapted into such trash. Like, later in the decade, we got Tokyo Ghoul Re, which is like, all right, we're gonna undo all our mistakes, but nah, fam, they just made things worse. Tokyo Ghoul Season 1 follows the manga. Season 2 totally makes no sense. Season 3, or Tokyo Ghoul Re, is like, all right, imagine if Season 2 would have followed the manga. If it would have followed the manga, this would have been the sequel you needed, which, well, it didn't follow the manga, so no anime only nobody's had any idea what was going on in Tokyo Ghoul Re, and even then, they were like, okay, people aren't interested, let's just butcher our own show. And that's basically my take on the Tokyo Ghoul experience. I feel so bad for the fans. This is literally so sad. But anyway, moving on to March 24th, 2015, Akatsuki no Yona episode 24 aired, and well, I really like Akatsuki no Yona. The main character is great, the supporting cast is great, the plot is actually great. It's just all around great. But episode 24 was when they were like, okay, we're never getting a season 2, even though the manga only gets better from here on out. F's in the chat. This is so sad, but not as sad as what happened on April 18th of 2015. Nope. That's when Dragon Ball Super released a movie, The Resurrection of F. And they're like, all right, we're not going to spoil it by just calling it The Resurrection of F. You'll be like, who the hell is F that's being resurrected? I mean, yes, Frieza's dead and Frieza's on the cover of the movie, but F can't mean Frieza, right? And then they were like, nah, fam, Resurrection of F actually is Frieza. Everyone was so surprised. Oh my god. Now, I'm not here to crap on bad plot points of different shows. That's a lie. I did that already, and I apologize sincerely for something like that. But when it comes to Resurrection of F, you couldn't give Vegeta a W. One win in the entirety of the show, especially against someone like Frieza. Frieza wiped out his race, made him work for him, bitch slapped him around in original Dragon Ball Z. Vegeta finally has him on the ropes, and then you just had to give the win to Goku. Why? Honestly, not a lot of what Dragon Ball Super actually pissed me off. A lot of the stupidities that went on, I was like, alright, whatever, Dragon Ball Super, shooting themselves in the foot, you know, what can you do? But this is the one thing that to this day annoys me, that they couldn't give Vegeta a single win in the entirety of the Dragon Ball franchise. Vegeta freaking earned it. He humiliated himself dancing in front of Beerus in the Battle of Gods movie. He's developing as a character that can appreciate other people, and this is literally a blast from his past, where we can finally see him grow and overcome something that he was not able to overcome before. And nope, Goku had to do it. Low-key, very disappointed. Episode 1 of God Eater aired on July 12th of 2015, and everyone was pretty much very excited for God Eater. God Eater was a show that was coming right after Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works. And I mention that specifically because Ufotable, which only came into creation in this past decade, took a lot of the big names. Fate Zero, Fate Stay Night, and those are two of the most beautifully animated anime to this day. When Saber yells Excalibur, it's more beautiful than the infinite amount of Gientioi about Saber saying Excalibur, or using Excalibur in weird ways. But we're not going to be talking about that today. I'm talking about how Ufotable slowly but surely lost their reputation for a bunch of years. After adapting Fate Zero and Fate Stay Night, to which everyone was praising Ufotable as the greatest anime studio, they started adapting whatever. They adapted God Eater, which was originally a game, and if it was originally a game with no great story, no matter how beautiful the animation is, and the animation was pretty nice, you're never gonna make a masterpiece. They made God Eater, which was based off a game. They made Tales of Zestiria, beautifully animated, based off a game. Touken Ranbu, based off a game. All these things were phenomenally animated. The animation was so gorgeous in all of them, it actually kept me watching. But I was crying through watching what could have been something amazing, but what ended up being completely average. All of those shows I've just mentioned were straight garbage. Beautifully animated garbage, but garbage nonetheless. And it was only much later in the decade, where in the year 2019, Ufotable redeems themselves by animated something that actually comes from a manga, little known series named Demon Slayer. When they put their minds to something that actually has a good story, it comes out dancing off the screen. It becomes a work of art. But if you're drawing a painting of trash, it's just a beautiful painting of trash. A lot of people were very disappointed with Ufotable's development, and that started with God Eater. On February 26th of the year 2016, Erased aired episode 8, and this disappointed everyone. While Erased was airing, everyone was saying that this show is going to be the greatest mystery thriller supernatural drama of all time. It was ranked so high by everyone. I think it topped IMDb's basic TV show and movie ratings for anything, not just anime. It was so good. It was so captivating. And the ending was just not nearly as satisfying as the mystery that they continued to build up. Every episode ended with a cliffhanger that left the entire audience in awe for a full week and waiting with crazy suspense for anything that they could give us to continue the story. We were dying watching that because honestly, everyone loved Erased until, well, episode 8 came along and was a middle finger to the phenomenal web that was being woven. I remember that day so clearly. The day that Erased went from potentially one of the top 10 greatest anime ever to, top 50. I hate it when that happens. May 6th, 2016, episode 4 of Cabaneri of the Iron Fortress aired. It was made by Wit Studio, the same studio that made Attack Attack on Titan, and Kabaneri of the Iron Fortress had the same exact goddamn story as Attack on Titan. That's right, you heard it here first, folks. Attack on Titan is about people that have to live behind these huge walls so that the Titans don't come and eat them. Well, Kabaneri of the Iron Fortress is about people that have to live in these huge fortresses so that the zombies don't come and eat them. Wow, completely original story here. Thank you, Wood Studio, for bringing us something new. Now, being that Attack on Titan was captivating from the very get-go, so is Kabaneri of the Iron Fortress. Episode 4 is when you realized, yeah, there's literally nothing past this than guys killing zombies, which is very unlike Attack on Titan. Attack on Titan had great character development, great drama, great political thriller, mystery. None of that was really in Kabaneri of the Iron Fortress. It was just what you saw at surface level, and it did nothing to really develop that. Also, the main villain of Kabaneri of the Iron Fortress, kinda garbage. May 12th, 2016, we had the biggest plot twist in all of anime. That's right when you thought that Madara was the evil mastermind behind all the goings-on in the Naruto universe. Nope, it was Black Zetsu. You know, the pile of sludge that no one cares about at all? Yeah, he was really manipulating things behind the scenes for like thousands of years because Kaguya, it's your time to shine. May 12, 2016 was when we got introduced to Kaguya, the worst plot twist in anime history. Nope, it wasn't Madara, the amazingly built-up character for the entirety of the show and so much lore and history behind everything that he did through his every action. Nope, he's not the main villain. It's Kaguya. You probably never heard of her. Yeah, that's because she was never really mentioned. She's this random lady that ate a chakra fruit, and boom, she can open portals into other dimensions and for no reason wants to start killing ninjas, but ninjas kill her. It's like the ultimate twist, right? So much character development in this wonderful villain that was crafted beautifully by Kishimoto, clearly thought out since the very beginning. Mad respect for creating the worst plot twist in anime history, because not only did you kill Madara in the least satisfying way possible, but you made the least satisfying final villain for a massive series that you could have thought of. Orochimaru would have been a good final villain if you would have ended it way earlier. Pain would have been a final villain that everyone would have appreciated if you would have ended it there. Obito would have been a good final villain. Madara would have been a good final villain. You know who wouldn't be a good final villain? Kaguya! At least the good news is, Kaguya isn't actually the final villain of Naruto. Boruto is, and we'll be talking about him later. July 1st, 2016, we had the legendary Berserk manga adapted into the worst adaptation ever. That's right, it hurts me. I'm crying inside just thinking about the travesty that happened to Berserk. Berserk is one of the greatest manga series of all time. It's my second favorite manga/anime ever, and this is the treatment it gets. So sad. Episode 19 of ReZero aired on October 8th, 2016, and that is the very famous episode where Subaru said, "I love Emilia," when clearly best girl was Roswaal. Disgusting and despicable, Subaru. Can't even believe you would do something like that. Honestly, it was a dick move. Whether you like Emilia better or you like Rem better, for those of you who remember Rem, Subaru saying "I love Emilia" at that given point in time was as dickish of a move as he possibly could have done. Emilia ditched him. He went nuts. Rem saved him from his crazy, dark place that he was living in, and he says to Rem, "I love Emilia." It's a dick move, whether you like Emilia better or Rem. And the fact that the community became Civil War cannibals at this point in time over the waifu war of ReZero did not help matters. Being that this is the most remembered scene of the entire series, and it is not even a good scene compared to all the other things that were going on, it just, I think, changes people's perspectives of what ReZero actually was. At its core, it was a psychological thriller. Yes, it was in an isekai. Yes, there were a lot of girls. Yes, Subaru likes Emilia in the wrong place at the wrong time, but there is so much good to remember about ReZero, and people only remember the scene where he says, "I love Emilia." ReZero is a phenomenal show. I really, really enjoyed it, and I'm really looking forward to season 2. But this episode disappointed me on a fandom level and on a pure dumbass level of a main character in an isekai anime. October 6th, 2016, we had the beginning of the end. And by that I mean the beginning of Yuri on Ice. Yuri on Ice? More like Yaoi on Ice. Got him! It was a show that was swooned towards by every woman in the anime community. And I thought it was just pretty average, to be honest. The yaoi aspects of Yuri on Ice kind of came out of left field, so I didn't really have any feelings towards it. It's like, okay, they're good bros, and then all of a sudden they're kissing. It's like, oh, I guess they're really good bros. I didn't even think the development was all that great. My favorite part of the show was the character JJ from the homeland of Canada, who actually was a great character. He had great development, and he messed up in his final act, and he caught himself, saving himself from complete despair, but still facing so much anguish because he didn't mentally prepare himself correctly for the competition he was entering. Not to mention the fact that JJ is the King is one of the greatest anime insert songs of all time. I could praise the show for what it did good. What it didn't do good is what it got credit for, though. Like, because there's a gay scene, everyone's going nuts. There are a lot of gay anime. But the fact that this got so popular because for whatever reason, it enraptured the audience, and then it won all the awards for Anime of the Year, Best Character, Best romance. It's like, oh, what was the best fight scene of the year? What do you think? Do you think it was All Might versus Nomu? Or was it the face battle between Yuri and Victor?
Face battle between Yuri and Victor.
That's kind of how the anime awards from Crunchyroll kind of felt, which disappointed everyone. But hey, I kind of think Yuri on Ice was just kind of an average show. Had its ups, had its downs, and I didn't feel like the yaoi aspect added or subtracted anything from the overall series. So, yay! Let's start 2017. Wonderful year, wonderful year. January 1st, Amazon dropped the bomb. They're starting Anime Strike. For those of you who don't remember what Anime Strike was, it was an anime streaming service made by Amazon to compete with Netflix and Crunchyroll. It was wonderful because now, not only do you have to pay for a subscription to Crunchyroll and to Netflix to get all your shows, but you also have to pay a subscription to Anime Strike. Now, thankfully, Amazon got rid of it, and now they just let you watch their anime on Amazon Prime. If you have a Prime membership, you don't need to pay an extra couple bucks a month for Anime Strike for literally like 10 shows. But this was the beginning of the really annoying licensing game that all the different anime studios were having so much fun jumping through hoops for the fans. You want to watch One Punch Man? Well, shimmy over to Netflix. Want to watch Mob Psycho? Well, shimmy over to Crunchyroll. Want to watch Vinland Saga? Well, shimmy over to Amazon. Now you need to kind of have everything to watch everything, and Amazon Strike was just an additional thing you needed. Not only do you need Amazon Prime, but you also need Amazon Strike and Crunchyroll and Netflix. And this is where the licensing game became really brutal for the fans, and of course it kicked off the lovely piracy wars that everyone remembers in the anime community. And unfortunately, I wasn't really around much in 2017. Didn't get the chance to throw my hat in the rink and annoy everyone, so whatever, maybe another time. But this was pretty brutal. Still in 2017, there's something I want to tell you that happened on April Fool's Day. That's right, on April 1st, we got the second season of Attack on Titan. And you're probably thinking, Nux, Attack on Titan Season 2 was amazing. What are you talking about? And to that I say, it was amazing, and this is what I'm talking about. The fact that there was a 4-year wait between Season 1 and Season 2 is a travesty. It destroyed all the potential hype for Attack on Titan. As big as it is now, imagine how much bigger it would have been if it would have been so much closer to the first season. Give us 2 years between Season 1 and 2, and 2 years between Season 2 and 3. No! Let's give 4 years between 1 and 2, and then 1 year between 2 and 3. And then another year between Season 3 Part 1 and Season 3 Part 2, because that was a thing as well. It still hurts me to this day that Attack on Titan lost so much steam when the story only got better. But as hilarious as April 1st was, April 5th just completely took over the anime world, because Boruto, the savior of anime. I love Boruto. It's one of those shows that I could just watch at night if I ever want to throw up. Oh, the good memories, the good times. The fact that the manga is actually decent for Boruto, but the anime decided no, they want to just make filler episodes. It's an entire filler sequel to Naruto that's making believe it's canon. Isn't this beautiful? Oh, so. April 8th, 2017, we had Recreators start, and I have to say, it's a modern classic. Or at least, I don't have to say that, but Mother's Basement called it a modern classic, and to this day, that is one of my favorite jokes he's ever made, because it was pretty average. April 9th of 2017. Man, April 2017 was amazing. Attack on Titan Season 2, modern classic like Recreators, the phenomenal sequel that is Boruto as the final antagonist to the Naruto story. And April 9 comes along, whipping its dike out to flex on everyone with the cultural phenomenon, Ero Manga Sensei. Remember the guy who made Oreimo? Kinda had to throw his entire story into the garbage just to get Bro and Sis to kiss? Well, the one issue with that is Bro and Sis were blood relatives. Let's take that out of the equation. No, this is Bro and his step-sister with literally the same exact plot, except it's even more lolly-ish than Oreimo. The brother is the exact same character as the brother in Oreimo, and this time the sister, well, the sister goes by a pen name of Ero Manga Sensei, where she draws lewd art. And in order to get a proper grasp of what she's drawing, she needs to do lewd things. And her age is not disclosed. Fam, Ero Manga Sensei helped so many people in a time of need. I feel like it reached out for us in our darkest time and told us, fam, things can still get worse. It's amazing that this thing actually aired on television. And then 10 more little sister shows aired over the last 3 years, and I kind of lost interest in the entire genre. Way less appealing right now. Kind of creepy, but hey, welcome to anime. Now, there was an anime that I was very excited for the entirety of 2017, and that was Fate Apocrypha. As a Fate fanboy that watched most of the Fate anime series, I was expecting something great with Fate Apocrypha. Instead of a 7-way battle royale, this time you got 2 teams of 7. I was very excited to see all the new servants, all the new masters, and and it was garbage. That's right. The game may have been good. The book probably was great. Anime, pretty trash. They introduced 14 characters that are all supposed to be fleshed out personalities for each team in like the first episode. Tell me how you're going to introduce a cast of 28 characters that I know nothing about and get me to care about any of them. Well, you can, because remember when I told you there were 28 characters? I lied. There's also the guy that's the leader of the black team that doesn't get a servant. There's also Joan of Arc. There's also a random homunculus kid that gained sentience and basically has the story arc of Pinocchio. And 30 plus characters introduced over like 2 episodes is not going to get me to care about any of them. I was very disappointed in Fate Apocrypha because I was expecting something great, and I got something that was flashy but pretty average, even though Mordred will forever be best girl. July 11th, 2017, we got the worst isekai anime of all time. We got Isekai Smartphone. It's all the worst parts of every isekai mashed together into one super isekai. That's right. Character dies before his time, goes to heaven. God's like, dude, sucks that you died. I'm gonna bring you back to life, and I'm gonna let you take one thing with you. He's like, well, I'm a totally normal individual of a functioning society, so I want a smartphone. But the battery never runs out, and I have internet. God's like, you know what, kid? You're so cool for making that epic decision. Not only are you gonna have a smartphone with internet and with batteries that never run out, but I'm gonna also make you so overpowered, no obstacle you face will even be considered an obstacle. You think it's transported to another world, wrecks everyone, changes the lifestyle of many by creating very important things. You're probably thinking like electricity with his infinite information from the internet? Nah, fam. He doesn't actually help people with important things. His top priority is to make ice cream because, well, you know, this man knows what's up. So after creating ice cream and destroying an entire enemy army by clicking the lightning button on his phone, which drops lightning down on the entire army and kills all of them, he proceeds to get a massive harem and not bone them. That's right. I repeat, not bone anyone. The show is so bad, it's a hodgepodge of all the worst of all the isekai. And if it would have been a comedy making fun of how it was the worst of all the isekai, well then, I would have appreciated the crap out of it. But no, it was not being ironic, which ironically made it stand out in the piles of garbage. In my opinion, being the worst isekai anime of all time. October 3rd, 2017, we had the first episode of Buraku Kuruva, one of my favorite ongoing manga right now. The manga's so good. The current arc that's going on in the anime, my personal opinion, is the peak of modern shonen. Okay? No arc from any modern show in the shonen demographic actually reaches the peaks of the elf invasion in the current arc of the Black Clover anime. That said, Black Clover anime started so rocky! If it would have been adapted by the studio that did My Hero Academia, this would be just as big. But no! First, they decided, you know what would be a great voice actor for Asta? A chainsaw! Brilliant planning from Japan's part. Thank you, Studio Pierrot, for creating a true masterpiece. But Black Clover's anime adaptation all round is not good. A lot of people say it got better, and it did get better, but that's not really saying much. It's still pretty bad comparatively to what the manga is. The manga is fast-paced, the emotions are raw, and the scenes are so much more riveting with great shading and honestly, all-round great art. Every single great scene in the anime is dumbed down 100 times compared to the manga counterpart. I watched a bunch of episodes of the Elf Invasion because, well, it's the peak of modern shonen. Wanted to see what the anime was doing to my baby, and then I would just reread the same chapter and be like, damn, this hits different. There was a charmy fight that just happened in the anime that I was sure was gonna blow the internet's mind away, and it didn't, and I was disappointed. And then I reread the manga chapter and I was like, damn, they're not in the same league. Look, here's an image of the anime fight with Charmy revealing her new magic, and this is the image from the manga. Can you even compare the two? And it's the same with every other moment in Black Clover. The colors are so matted. The animation is pretty bottom tier. The voice acting is not stupendous, and it takes away the pizzazz from the fast moments that just hit you in the manga by just making them slower and making the episodes take forever. Episode 1 of Black Clover was a nail in the coffin for Black Clover, which to this day is a phenomenal manga, and every chapter is a breath of fresh air. Yes, it's not super original by any standards, but it takes what's generic and does it right. The Elf Invasion was a massive arc that was being built up from literally the very beginning, and they did not spoil one moment of it. All the twists, all the fights, it's all amazing. The anime adaptation did such a bad job though, no one got that far, which was very disappointing. Speaking of disappointing adaptations, April 8th of 2018, we got the animated version of Persona 5, an anime that makes you want to play Persona 5 less. That's right, it was bad. Bad! It was such a pointless adaptation. It was worse than pointless. It actually turns people off from playing the game. Stop doing this anime. And speaking of bad anime adaptations, Angels of Death was a great game, but the anime adaptation was garbage. That happened on July 6th of 2018, and it's so disappointing whenever that happens. On August 22nd of 2018, I guess you could call this one of the crappiest anime moments of the last decade. It's when Crunchyroll was like, good news guys, you know, instead of pirating anime for free, instead you decided to pay pay us to support the anime industry? Well, we're making our own animated show called High Guardian Spice, and because we're not sexists, we're not hiring any men. Does that line sound funny to you a little bit? Because it was pretty funny to everyone at the time. Everyone, except for yours truly, was making videos blasting it, and I felt like there were no new angles for me to take, so I just didn't talk about it. Even though I may have this massive Crunchyroll exposed video that I may be working on, but I would never mention that right now. I lied, I just mentioned it right now. Definitely subscribe, it's gonna be amazing. That'll get me into so much trouble. But the point is, announcement of High Guardian Spice was horrible. The reception was bad. I don't think anyone appreciated it, and Crunchyroll lost a lot of face because of it. But the drama that surrounded High Guardian Spice was nothing compared to what happened on October 7th of 2018. And that was when the first episode of Goblin Slayer aired, and the anime community will never remain the same. In the first episode of Goblin Slayer, they wanted to portray goblins as really terrible menaces to society, so, you know, we can actually hate them and relate to the Goblin Slayer who wants to slay the goblins. All this makes sense to me, but apparently it didn't make sense to people that when we're portraying how bad they are, you're not allowed to talk about how they do relatively rapey things because, well, rape is bad. I mean, by that standard, death is also bad, and no one's complaining about all the shonen anime where people are dying and getting killed. But again, not the point. The point is, the next three things I'm gonna be mentioning are all controversies. Not necessarily that the anime did anything wrong, but just surrounding the anime was a cesspool of toxicity that was fun to laugh at from the sidelines. October 7th of 2018, we had Goblin Slayer, where the community got into a civil war. November 14th of 2018 was when the Broly movie aired, and the whole Vic Mignogna situation started, which honestly, I don't know enough about to have an opinion I would like to share, so I only know that people were flinging a lot of poop at each other for like the last year, and even though I very much admire the art of flinging poop and am a connoisseur when it comes to poop flinging, I want no part of this literal poop show because, well, I'm just of the opinion that if you don't know enough, you should not have an opinion. I know that's pretty much controversial. These days, everyone says that even if you don't know what you're talking about, you should definitely make believe you have an opinion, but I'm not of that mindset, so. Opinion aside, the fact that this controversy existed was stupid. I don't know who's right, I don't care who's wrong. It was sucky. And January 9th of 2019, we had Shield Hero, where no, there wasn't actual rape going on. No, it was just false rape allegations. That also drove everyone totally nuts. I don't know what went on for those few months, but with the back-to-back drama of Goblin Slayer, Vic Mignogna, and Shield Hero, it was not a good time in the anime community. Unless you're someone like me that likes laughing at the toxicity of every party getting involved, except for the Vic Mignogna stuff, which is actually serious and wasn't funny at all. People's lives are actually in the balance. Not funny. But when it comes to arguing about Goblin Slayer and Shield Hero, that's straight up hilarious. Oh my god, my voice is dying whenever I'm recording an hour-long video, especially when I have passionate opinions about things. I just totally kill my voice. Hopefully, it will survive another day. April 10 of 2019, we had One Punch Man Season 2. And again, the adaptation was garbage. Hell yeah! It's such a shame too, because even though I love Season 1, Season 2, in my opinion, did many things even better with the introduction of Hero Hunter Garo, who is one of my favorite anime characters of all time. He later develops even more in the manga and even more in the webcomic, but this mad lad got no appreciation just because of the poor adaptation that One Punch Man Season 2 actually went through. Now, I'm gonna say this, the adaptation of Season 2 was not as bad as people say it was. Just compared to the eyegasms that we were all experiencing during Season 1, it was a letdown. Saitama versus Boros was one of the most visually stunning fights ever, and you got nothing in One Punch Man Season 2 that comes even close in impact to something like that. Murata is one of the greatest artists in the entire anime industry right now, and his work with the manga has been fantastic. Every page of the manga blows my mind. So it's just a shame to me that such a great show with such a great story, such a great cast, and such a great manga gets absolutely crapped on when it comes to the anime adaptation, which is where people actually get introduced to the story from. It makes me really sad. One Punch Man is in my 5 favorite shows ever, and I will only forever be able to talk about One Punch Man Season 1 because no one appreciated Season 2. This is so sad. The manga is so good. September 15th, 2019. This may be a little controversial, but you know, I'll give a damn. Ash won the Alola League in Pokemon Sun and Moon. Now, there were a lot of Pokemon controversies this year when it came to the Pokemon games, when it came to the Pokemon anime, and well, being that this is not talking about games, only anime, Ash winning the Alola League was was very disappointing. The Sun and Moon show was so much less serious than Diamond and Pearl or X and Y. It's disappointing that the first Pokemon season that doesn't actually consider Pokemon an adventure but considers it a high school slice of life, that's the season where he wins the Pokemon League. That is so disappointing. Also, the entire anime community at one point watched Pokemon. We all grew up with Ash failing to win the Pokemon League. He wins at a time that none of us could care less about. We were really rooting for him in Sinnoh. We really wanted him to take that W. He ended up losing to like Darkrai and Latios because hacks. And I fully understood and subscribed to the idea that Ash can't win a Pokemon League without them reinventing Pokemon for a future season. And they didn't reinvent Pokemon for a future season, and he won the league that I care the least about. Ash winning the Alola League was a slap in the face to Pokemon fans that were rooting for him in Sinnoh and in X and Y. And that may be my personal opinion, but as I mentioned, I don't care. Being upfront, brutally honest, I know I'm gonna get hate, but you guys are awesome. Smash like and stuff to counterbalance people being negative about literally any of my opinions. I blasted like a good 24 shows just now, and I know the hate will come. So smash like and stuff, because October 9th, 2019, 7 Deadly Sins Season 3, botched Meliodas versus Escanor. One of the most exciting fights that we were all looking forward to. Absolutely killed and destroyed by a bad adaptation. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for taking this stroll down memory lane where you probably did not cry, at least not from happiness or welling up of emotions, but because a lot of crap happened in the last 10 years as well. If you did enjoy this video, please check out my most impactful anime moments of the last decade video, which I worked on pretty hard as well. Not as hard as this one, I will not lie. It was hard to find the garbage than to find the greats. I had fun making this video despite the fact that I was just talking about my least favorite things that happened over the last decade, because in the end of the day, this is YouTube, and every YouTuber's subscribers are his private therapists. So thank you, therapists, for helping me vent my frustrations about the crappiest anime moments of the last decade. A lot of you ask for my opinions on things, a lot of you ask me for rants on things, and you know, you gotta take it to the next level. And the next level is a massive hour-long documentary on the last decade of anime. That's right, praise me in the comments, because I work way too hard to just get hate for something like this. I really appreciate all of you. Liking and subscribing would be cool. Let me know future videos you would like, or other crappy moments of the last decade that I missed. Link in the description to my Patreon and my Twitch and my Twitter. Feel free to follow me on all those other platforms. I am really tired, and I am going to make myself a tea. I don't like tea, but I'm gonna need to do it anyway for the sake of the future. My voice is dead. Have yourselves the most wonderful evening, and remember to stay weird, fam.